If you wait, you're late. That's tonight's live. My name is Cinnamon. For those of you who don't know, I am a D1 mom of 3 Division I full ride athletes. I have been on this roller coaster for about 10 years. Thank you. I have been on this recruiting roller coaster journey for over 10 years. I have learned so much and I have the information to share with you. So let's get into it, because again, if you wait, you're late. That is the number one mistake that I see from sports parents across sports and both genders. Parents who wait and they end up too late. The hard truth, guys, is that recruiting does not start in 11th grade. Recruiting, especially at the Division I level, does not start in 11th grade. If you are waiting until 11th grade when your kid can call D1 coaches, you are going to be late. If you wait, you're late. All right? Recruiting does not start in 11th grade. It starts in 9th or 10th grade. If you are waiting until 11th grade, you're too late. Coaches start their recruiting boards in 9th and 10th grade. So by the time your child is a junior or a senior, a lot of those spots are already taken. And that's why so many great athletes are left scrambling. If you wait, you're late. This is for all sports. This is for all NCAA sports, especially at the Division I level, because that's where my expertise is. I was a Division I athlete and I've raised 3 Division I full ride athletes. All right. So again, by the time your child is a junior or a senior, they are late to the recruiting process. And the theme for today's live is if you wait, you're late. So you guys are in prime position to start your recruiting journey. Those of you that are still in 9th grade, 10th grade, or a little bit before that. And for those of you who are late, who are 2026 or 2027, there's still hope for you, so don't give up yet. All right? Why? Why are you late if you're waiting until 11th and 12th grade to start? Number one, which is most important, is that exposure takes time. For those of you who have been with me for a while, you know already that my 3-step process when it comes to recruiting is exposure is step 1. Step 2 is communication, and step 3 is relationships. Exposure, communication, relationships, all right? Exposure is what happens in 9th and 10th grade. And that part of that exposure process is emailing coaches. We are emailing coaches. We are going to camps and clinics that we have vetted and we have been in touch with those programs, right? We are posting highlights on social media. We're getting their social media accounts up and going. We are posting highlights. We are tweeting. We are posting full-length games to their private YouTube channel or public YouTube channel, whatever, it's up to you. Recruiting is about building relationships, and building relationships takes time. Coaches do not offer students off of one email. It doesn't happen, guys. They need to see film, they need to see consistency, and they need to see growth. And again, that takes months and even years. It does not happen after one email. Another reason to start early is, believe it or not, guys, scholarship money and roster spots are limited. They're limited. So it's kind of like airline seats, right? If you've flown, if you've bought airline tickets, the earlier you book, the earlier you start, the better price you get. You wait too long, you're paying full price, or you're not even flying at all. It's another situation. If you wait, you're late. We're not waiting, we're being proactive, all right? And then the third reason is that as you wait, if your kid is waiting until 11th grade to reach out to coaches, hundreds of kids are already queued up ahead of them. Kids that have been emailing for 2 years, kids that have built presence with the coach, so the coach is looking forward to those email updates. The coach is inviting them to clinics. The coach is inviting them to games to come get sideline passes and enjoy the games. Coach is inviting them to tour the campus on their own. I'm like, you're missing out on opportunities if you wait. I know the NCAA rule is that Division I coaches cannot contact athletes about recruiting until their junior year. I know what the rule is, and I encourage you all to go and read the rule for yourself at NCAA. All right, go to the website and read the rule for yourself. So although coaches cannot directly contact young athletes about recruiting, athletes can and are expected to reach out to coaches, right? This isn't any sort of hack or workaround. I'm telling you how the process goes. Again, I raised 3 Division I full ride athletes. This is not something that I heard on the street. This is not something that I read on a Facebook post or I overheard at a tournament or even that my high school coach told me. This is what I know from my own lived experience. I've been through this. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this, right? All right. I'm telling you, if you wait, you're late. Recruiting starts, Casey, once you start it. That's the short answer. So maybe a better question is, how do you start recruiting, right? How do you start that recruiting process? The first thing you need to do is get an honest evaluation of your child's talent. What level can they play at, right? So the coach, whoever you, and pick somebody that you trust. Somebody that you trust in your community, ask them, maybe for the 2 top coaches in the area, and then keep asking. You'll start to hear the same names come up, right? Reach out to them and ask them for an evaluation of your athlete. Maybe you can email some film. Maybe they can see your kid in person. However you want to do it, right? Get that evaluation so you know exactly which level to be targeting for your student athlete. Too many people email the wrong division. They don't get a response, and obviously they become despondent with the situation and think, well, nobody's answering. We sent out hundreds of emails, nobody's responded. Yeah, because your kid has the size for NAIA or D3 and you're emailing Power 4 Division I coaches, right? That's not going to work. So find out, based on your child's athleticism, their talent, and their size, which division is best for them. After you have selected the division, after you know where you are targeting, the schools you're targeting, make a list of what's important to your child in their collegiate experience. Weather, distance from home, size of the university, size of the campus, housing, whatever it is. Make a list of what's important to your kid, and then you select schools within the proper division that meets the requirements that your child has put forth. Those are the schools that you are pursuing. You're not just sitting at home checking email every day waiting for coaches to start emailing you. No, you're going after the schools that you want, because if you wait for schools to email you, you're going to be late. That's number one. If you wait, you're late. You're not waiting on schools to email you. You are selecting the schools that fit your child athletically, socially, academically. You are selecting those schools and then targeting them. And remember, recruiting is a marathon, not a sprint. Just like parenting, raising champions, I say raising champions is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's a roller coaster. So many people think that recruiting is a linear process, and it's not. It's going to be loaded with peaks and valleys. So get in, hold on, and enjoy the ride. Do kids being multi-sport athletes help? And if so, do you need to have separate accounts per sport? No. No, you don't need to have separate accounts. Now, once your kid is seriously of age to start this recruiting process, Josh, you're going to have to pick one. You're going to have to pick one to really hone in on for your communication, right? Then after you have a couple of coaches interested and you're into the kind of talking phase of your dating, then you can mention the additional sport if you want, right? But no, I would not muddy the water with 2 and 3 different sports. The one thing that is nice about multi-sports, and my daughter, all of my kids did more than one sport, but they decided early on that they were going to just focus on one. And it made it a lot easier for my husband and for me. And honestly, I don't know how we would have been able to juggle multiple sports after they became serious about one. There just was not a lot of time for anything other than their sport, their school, and our family. All right. What are the most important things to say in these emails if your athlete is in 9th grade? Excellent question. I do have complete email templates. I think there are 10 email templates available for $9 in my Stan Store. The most important thing to remember, Megs, is that this is an introduction, right? You are starting, it's like you are out in a restaurant, you see somebody attractive and you want to introduce yourself to them and kind of see if you guys mesh, and then figure out what the next steps are, right? So the first couple of emails are simply introductions. So you were saying, you know, I am a 5'10" point guard. I'm in 9th grade. This is my high school. This is my GPA. These are the classes I'm taking. I am interested in, I don't know what I'm interested in studying yet in college, but I like your program because of ABC. I will be emailing you every couple of weeks with new clips, and I look forward to getting to know you. That's it. That's nice and simple. I kind of rambled a little bit, but you get the gist of what I'm saying there, Megs. If you are waiting on your high school coach, late. If you are waiting for your child to be in 11th grade, late. If you are waiting on college coaches to reach out to you, your child, late. If you wait, you're late. Son was not on the school team last year, so we didn't reach out to coaches. Hope he makes this year. Wonderful. And does he have like a AAU team or club team? You can use film from that as well if you're going to email coaches. All right. What are you holding off for? My daughter's first communication from a school, a recruiting letter, came at 13. 13. She was on a 14U team. Diva, if he played AAU, use some of that film. You don't have to wait for high school to, all right, Robin, thank you. You don't have to wait until high school or wait on high school film to send to coaches, all right? Some kids never play in high school. Some kids never play in high school, but still play in college. Your kid, in order to play Division I, Division II, has to be registered with the NCAA, and I said NCAA, not NCSA, National Collegiate Athletic Association. Your kid has to be registered with them, but more importantly, that's not even what I was going to say. What's important is that you go and look at the requirements to be eligible to play Division I. Why, Cinnamon? My kid's only going to, is going D3 or JUCO. Because if they are eligible, D3 is the toughest division to become eligible for. So if they are eligible for D1, D1 is the toughest. So if they are eligible for D1, then they automatically will be qualified for JUCO, for NAIA, for D3 and D2, okay? And the coursework is listed, the courses you need to take, the order you need to take them, and the amount of time that you have to take the classes. You guys, when I tell you how many kids each year graduate high school but are still ineligible to play in college, you would be astonished. Check now. If your kid is a freshman, check now. Go and make sure that your kid is taking the right classes. Do not wait on the counselor. Do not wait on the coach. Do not wait on your kid to do this. I want you to go and check so you understand what the course requirements are, the core classes are, what he or she needs to be taking, the GPA that they need to have, and how it all works. You need to know that. You need to know that for yourself. Okay? The first step, Jody, is it Jody or Jody? The first step, Jody, is to make sure that you have the right level of school for your son. Is your son, whatever division these schools are at on your list, is your son able to play at that level? Does he have the skill? Does he have the athleticism? Does he have the size to play at that level? That's the first question, all right? My sophomore daughter wants to play for Nebraska or Texas for volleyball. Need guidance. All right. Amanda, what position does your daughter play and how tall is she? What position does she play? How tall is she? And who does she play club for? The thing is, guys, this is another reason why I say if you wait, you're late. The bigger the program, these Power 4 schools, the top 10, whatever your sport is, the top 10 nationally, they've been working on recruiting. So this is 2026. The 2026 kids that they've already signed or that they're going to sign next month, they've been after those kids since 22, 23. Those kids that are signing in the early signing period have been on their recruiting board for these big schools at least 3 years. Another reason not to wait. Not to wait. She needs to be sending video highlights. She needs to be sending highlights to Nebraska, Texas, whoever is in her top. And I would probably make sure that that is the correct division for her, right? Because I'm sure you watched a ton of Nebraska and Texas volleyball. So you have a good sense for the size of the athletes, their verticality, how high they're jumping, their movements. Get a good sense for that. And when you're able, go and watch it live and in person so she can see exactly what it's like. But you need to be sending video to those coaches now. You need to be sending an email, introducing her, letting them know of her interest in their programs. But those are programs that are flooded with emails from potential recruits. And they're also programs that work 3 and 4 years in advance. Just keep that in mind. Robin, I have a sophomore currently playing basketball and being watched by schools, and you want to be ready. That's wonderful. So you are in a wonderful position, right? Because your kid is already on some watch boards. Your son is already on some watch boards, meaning schools have actual lists. They have like boards in their offices of kids in each position, their grad year that they are watching and following. So your son should be emailing those coaches. So if he knows the schools that are looking at him, he should be emailing them, keeping them in the loop, sending them updates on his season, on his schedule, on his workouts, on his grades. All right? That's what you need to be doing, Robin. You are in the exposure phase, you want to move on into communication with them. So after his sophomore year, this summer of 26, when they are able, if this is Division 1, when they are able, they can call him. All right? That's what you want to do. We are moving from exposure to communication to relationships, and relationships lead to offers. What advice do you have for undersized basketball players? Example, under 5'8". So this is tough. This is tough because it's something that is out of our control as parents, right? Some sports are geared toward people of a certain size, right? Gymnastics tends to be very petite, compact, short athletes. Basketball is long, tend to be lean, very tall athletes. I think if your child is undersized, you have to find some way to make up for that, if you will. So what is it? If your child is only 5'8", trying to play basketball, they need to be in the position, they need to be playing a position that, I mean, obviously at 5'8", I don't think they could play anything but point guard. So in college, I'm talking about. So maybe shooting guard, if, I don't know. You need to be working on ball handling, court vision, how well they see the court. And of course, if they're at a 2, they got to be able to shoot. Passing, like those are the skills that, and defense, obviously, defense. He's got to be a dog for 90 feet. He has got to be a dog for 90 feet. Those would be the things that would make him stand out with skills, with basketball skills, will make him stand out. So coaches might be able to kind of get past his size. Unfortunately, but realistically, y'all need to understand there are some coaches that do not talk to kids that don't pass the eye test. Meaning, if the kid doesn't have the build, the height, the size that the coach thinks they should have, they won't even talk to them. That's just one of those things about life, y'all. Hello, would you recommend reaching out to coaches via Twitter or email or both? I would do both. I'm not sure what the sport is, but I would do both, Vita Lux. Do we need to register with NCAA for D1, D2? Yes, you do. I'm surprised that he should be playing. If he's with MLS Next, he should be playing like in front of some coaches, right? So in front of Division I coaches and Division II. And at basketball, for certain events, the athlete has to be registered to participate in the event. So yeah, go ahead and at least create his free profile at ncaa.org. What about if NCSA reached out to me about my 13-year-old son in 8th grade? Are they sales tactics? They absolutely are sales tactics. That's a recruiting service, right? So they make their money by signing up parents who are afraid. They're afraid that they are going to mess up their child's hopes and dreams of playing in college. So they feed on your fear. They feed on your lack of knowledge. They feed on the lack of information, the void that is there, right? I am trying to combat that by giving y'all the information, by answering your questions and letting you know that you are not alone and that you can do this. You can do this without spending thousands of dollars. Elite athletes have elite parents, and that's y'all, because you're getting the knowledge and information. You are going to apply it, and you're not going to wait. Because if you wait, you're late. Any advice for a 5'8" volleyball sophomore for recruiting? She gets a ton of letters from schools sent to the high school she is at inviting her. All right, so y'all listen. Youth sports. Just think about how much money you spend with your kid and their teams, their tryouts, their camps, clinics, showcases, all-star games, the gear. When you travel, you fly or you drive, you stay in hotels, you eat out. Think about all the money that you spend and then multiply that times 100,000. Okay? That's how much money we're talking about when it comes to youth sports. And I need y'all to understand that there is a machine in place. So a lot of the mail that you get, a lot of the hard mail, like snail mail and email, electronic mail, is just part of the marketing machine. A lot of the invitations to showcases, to camps, to clinics are just part of the marketing machine. Once you attend one tournament, once you play for, join your high school team and register with NFH or whatever it is in your area, your name goes onto a list. It becomes part of like this whole data center world that we live in, and you're going to start getting information. You're going to start getting invitations. And if you don't already have a relationship with the coach or with the school that's sending you this stuff, it's probably a money grab. That's why I want you to start emailing coaches in 9th grade. So and I want you to drive the process. So the schools that you're looking at, the people, the coaches you've reached out to. So then when you get a piece of mail from University of East Jablip inviting you to a prospect camp, you'll be like, wait a minute, University of East Jablip is not even on our list. So you might look at the website and see, no, it doesn't meet our requirements. Then you don't go. You save that $500 that you were going to spend to register for camp at the University of East Jablip, and the money you were going to spend traveling there and whatever. Save all of that and put it towards a camp or a clinic where she or he, your athlete, has been in touch with the school, has been in touch with the coach. Maybe the coach has even called their club coach or high school coach about them, okay? We're not just aimlessly going out to places. Yes, college coaches showcases. I think those can be beneficial. It depends on the sport. Some of these things are run better in certain sports than they are in others. Yes, I think they can be beneficial. But again, if it's not for one specific school, if there are going to be a bunch of coaches there, I would email the coaches ahead of time that you're going to be there. This is your position. You're excited. You're looking forward to working out for the coaches, right? Be proactive. Be proactive. Let them know I'm coming. Hi, Laura. Will knee surgery as a freshman hurt your recruiting chances for football? Not any more than injuries are part of the sport. Lots of kids, unfortunately, knee injuries are very common. I don't know what your child's position is, but if my child had an injury their freshman year, I would document their rehab. I would still be emailing coaches, inviting them to join you on the journey back to the field. That's what I would be doing, Laura. Is this the 5'8"? Yes, 5'8" sophomore. She's a middle blocker. So middle blocker, right? So that means is she jumping out of the gym? Make sure she's she's got a great vertical and that she understands the position. And when I tell y'all, make sure your kids understand the position in the sport, I'm not talking about they know how to spike or attack. I'm not talking about the physical. I'm talking about, do they understand what is their game IQ? That's what I'm talking about. There are a lot of kids that are physically gifted, but they don't understand the game at all. And that's why those kids are on the bench. That's why you see so many messages and in forums and groups of parents saying, why isn't my kid playing? They're better than Susie over there. And well, because your kid doesn't understand the game. That's why. They don't understand the game. Watch the game with them. Teach them the sport. Teach them the strategy behind the play. They need to know all of this. Teach them clock management if a clock is involved in the sport. Stuff like that. Hi, how do you find out teams, position coaches, recruiter names for email purposes? You got to go to the website. Go to the team's website and try that. I've been posting videos of my 7th grader on Twitter. When would be best to get his own account? Do it in 9th grade, 8th or 9th grade. Oh, if you're going to post for him, you can do it in 8th grade. If he's managing it, I don't know your family dynamics, where y'all are on social media, but I think you should still be doing it even in 9th grade, and make sure that it's just for his sport, his highlights, okay? Don't mix in like any dances or anything. Football player, wonderful. So 8th grade then, Julie. If it's free, Rio, Stack Athlete Captain you can register. You can go ahead and register. I would not be paying anybody. I would not be paying anybody right now to do this, because you can do this yourself. At what age should I start posting my child and their sports on social media? Is that I would start in high school, and the route to go is by emailing coaches. We're not just throwing stuff out on social media and hoping that a coach sees it. No, you're taking control of this process, Sarah. All right. Posting on social media is a-okay, but what you need is to email the coaches. Undersized athletes, you've got to find some way, Shani, to differentiate yourself. This is not an issue that I had, but make sure if your child is undersized, but they love the sport and they're not ready to stop, make sure that they are playing in a position that possibly, if a coach really gave them a chance, they could play in college, right? So if your child is an undersized basketball player, I mean, point guard is where they need to be. So they need to be working on skills for that position that they could play in college, right? I know in high school it's different because the kids aren't as big, they're not as fast, they're not as quick. So in high school, you can get away with being undersized. But in college, it's a lot different. It's a lot different. So my advice is to keep working, but understand you have an uphill battle because you're undersized. How do you get on their radar to begin with? You put yourself on their radar when you introduce yourself to the coaches. When your kid starts emailing, that's how you're getting on the radar. You are emailing and you are sending actual highlights. That's how you're getting on the radar. Yeah, I just started learning how to hit a 1-ball and I have a game tomorrow. I need help. Okay, where is your coach, Clea? This is all I'm going to say. This is what I'm going to say about a 1-ball. And if you can do this, Clea, this should be your goal, right? You know how I said the topic for this live is if you wait, you're late? It's the same with volleyball, with hitting a 1. If you wait, you're late. The thing about a 1 is you got to be up in the air before the ball leaves the setter's hands, right? Because you're up to attack. You're swinging before you even see the set. If you're hitting a 1, because it should be in the same place every time. You're swinging before you hit the 1. And your goal is to get the blocker, the middle on the other side, to go up with you. So then that frees up the pin hitters, Clea. I hope that makes sense to you, but you got to be up in the air to swing before the setter has set the ball. Go early, call for the ball, and swing. That's my advice to you, love. All right. When you get offers, do they reach out to the high school coach or the child? They reach out to the child. When you start getting offers, if your child is in 11th or 12th grade, Division I coaches are going to call you. They're going to tell you about the offer. And a real offer, in my opinion, a real offer is a committable offer. So that means if you can commit to the offer when they give it, that's a real offer. My daughter is a freshman in high school. She plays volleyball libero, but she's only 5'1". Can she go D1? I mean, I don't know, Eve. I don't know. Y'all are asking me questions to things I simply do not know. I don't know your daughter. I've never seen her play. I do know that 5'1" is short for volleyball. I know that, but that's all I know. That's all I know. You listen. At some point, you're going to have to decide, are you going to support and encourage your child? Or are you just looking for an excuse for them not to play their sport? And if you don't want them to play, then that's fine. Just tell them we're not doing this anymore because you're only 5'1" and you're not going to be able to play D1. But there are lots of other options. D1 is not the only game in town, y'all. There's Division II, there's Division III, there's NAIA, and there's JUCO. There are other options. It's not just Division I. And D2 and NAIA can give full athletic rides. All right? And then the other school, JUCO also. In D3, they can stack money. D2, they can stack money so that you can practically get a full ride with merit money and academic money. Like, you have options here. It should not be D1 or bust, because I guess for my family, the goal was always to get a free degree. There are lots of places you can get a free degree. Lots of universities. So don't limit yourself, guys. Do not limit yourself. Rio, after my child sends out the emails, what's the next step? To keep emailing. Be consistent. Be consistent. Yes, I think in softball, the prospect camps are a great idea. If you are in touch with the coach, the coaches that are going to be there before you show up at the camp. Y'all should not ever be showing up anywhere unannounced. People should be expecting your kid. They should be expecting Johnny or Susie. There's no surprises, because you're the one who's going to end up surprised when they put your kid in a corner or in a back gym somewhere because they don't know them. So no surprises. I'm anti-NCSA. There is nothing they can do for you that you cannot do for yourself. And if you are going to hire somebody to work with your athlete, with your family, it needs to be somebody that you have a personal relationship with, somebody that you can talk to, somebody that is focused on your child, not a huge corporation like NCSA. All right? That's my advice to you. D1 wrestling. Interestingly enough, this is Mrs. B to you. I actually have a wrestling client who is interested in going to a historically black college or university, and I found out that there are only 2 Division I HBCU programs. But I am new to the wrestling world, but I am learning a lot quickly. All right, Ms. B, how do I feel about reclassing in high school? Reclassing, for those of you who don't know, is when parents hold their child back another year to give them a competitive edge, if you will, in their sport. So for people that maybe they're waiting for their kid to hit their growth spurt or just to get stronger so that they are then they're looking better when they compete, right? Their film is a little bit sharper because they have better quality or higher competition, higher skill level. They look better on film, right? Some kids maybe actually need another year of development. The thing about reclassing is that you have to have a plan, just like recruiting. You don't just show up one day or wake up one day and say, oh, you know what? I think we should reclass Charles today. No, you need to have a thought, like what is your purpose for reclassing? What is the goal? After you have decided what the goal is, just like with recruiting, what's the goal for your kid playing this sport? After you have set a goal, then you can create a plan to achieve that goal. And when any opportunity or offer comes up, you look and say, where does this fit into the plan? Is this going to help us achieve the goal? Is this going to get us closer to the goal or farther from the goal? And if it's not advancing you towards the goal, then you don't do it. Same thing with reclassing. If you're just reclassing and thinking that your kid is going to grow from 5'8" to 6'8", that if that's the hope, you're probably going to be disappointed. I think that with reclassing, it needs to be done before high school. Most of the families that I know and that I've worked with reclass in 8th grade. So they repeat that 8th grade year. And I know I can think of two basketball players, no, 3, that and that's just in my small corner of the world, that reclassed in 8th grade and are now top 50 in the country. But I live in the Washington, D.C. area. We have an incredible amount of basketball talent here. But most people botch up reclassing. So I do have actually a reclass expert. If you would like to talk with her, I'm happy to put you in touch with her. But what is the goal of the reclass? And another thing is that in some states, if you reclass in high school, you're going to lose a year of eligibility. So you need to check the eligibility rules. You need to check that their clock, because once you enter 9th grade, your NCAA clock starts and you only have a certain number of semesters to complete your coursework. So something else to consider. Okay, Mrs. B to you. How does my kid narrow a list without official visits and okay, so we're talking about 2 different lists here. You're talking about their final offers. I'm talking about the schools that you go after. This is put a peer athlete performance. I'm talking about a list of non-negotiables for your kid. Like, does your kid only like warm weather? So cold weather's out? All right, that's going to take out a good chunk of schools. Is your kid actually Division 1? Are they D2? Are they JUCO? What division? That's going to take out a chunk of schools, right? So think about your kids' preferences, about their academic goals, if they already know what they want to study. What type of team are they looking for? Like the culture? Do they want a program that has a lot of support from the community? Do they want a campus in the city? Do they want a rural campus? Like all of this, what matters? Take that list and then start targeting those schools. And as those schools get back to you, yay or nay, then you start talking about visits and money. But you determine first which schools you're going after. You're not just sitting at home waiting for schools to contact your athlete. Lily, Do you think an Instagram page is necessary to upload their highlights? Is it necessary? No. Is it helpful? Yes. Yeah, I think it's very helpful. My son wants to be a basketball player and he works so hard. He's in 8th grade. Where can I start him? So let me say this, and then I'm gonna finish up the questions, I think. But listen, everybody's working hard. All right. Unfortunately, y'all, hard work is not a guarantee of success. Hard work is required, yes, but it's not a guarantee. So let's just get that out of the way right now. All right. Especially when we're talking about college athletics, because if they get to college, everybody, every single person on that team is going to be a hard worker. That's why they're going to be on the team. And they're going to be incredibly talented. Hard work is just a piece of the recipe. That is the truth. That is the truth, G. Belafonte. It's just one piece of the recipe. Guys, I'm always going to share the truth in the recruiting process, right? I'm going to tell you the facts. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know it, but I'm pretty sure I know somebody who does know, and I can connect you, right? I've been in this and at this for a long time. Transfer and low GPA, and if the transfer should be fine. His GPA, he just needs to be working to bring that up. That's all. Boys swimming. No, I've never had a swimmer. I've had golf, track and field. But here's the thing about swimming, right? It's a time sport. Too many parents, you guys are just sitting around thinking that coaches are going to be going through the times and contacting kids with the appropriate times for their programs. No, they're not, because there's thousands of kids on these apps, these timing apps. You need to reach out to the programs that your athlete is interested in. All right. The recruiting process is the same, y'all. Exposure, communication, relationships. Jelamia, will 4-year rides be going away? No, they will not. Because, well, actually, you know what? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be going away or not. But I will say this, that the schools that can afford the 4-year rides, those schools also can afford to pay their athletes from their NIL collectives. So maybe, I don't know, maybe at some point, universities will expect the kids, the athletes, to pay for their own education through their NIL collective money. I don't know how it's going to go, but no, 4-year rides, the value, the money, the monetary value is not going away. All right, the Moors. My son just committed to a D1 in the Big Ten. I wish I had like one of those bells or something for a round of applause. That is fantastic. Congratulations. That is outstanding. 10-year-old is too early for your soccer wrestler player, Andrea. 8th grade soccer, start in 9th grade. Wait till 9th grade. Let these babies live. Shelly, what do I mean exposure? I mean getting your kid in front of coaches via email and social media. That's the exposure I'm talking about. Great question. I have broken recruiting down into 3 phases. Exposure, communication, relationships. Exposure, communication, relationships. For those of y'all who do not know me and it's your first time here, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Cinnamon. I am a D1 mom. I played volleyball in college. My daughter played volleyball. Look at that. My sons play basketball. My children have received, I have 3 kids and 3 D1 full ride athletes. I am Now, with my youngest just going off to school, I am sharing all of my information and knowledge with you guys because I have found that there is a void of information when it comes to college recruiting, right? And I know from experience and talking with other parents and just looking at what's happening, if you wait, you're late.